Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to Shanghai for live coverage of the Dota 2 Asia Championships 2017. We are headed into our second day of 3 in the group stages. Of course, 4 more to come next week of the main event. But we've got to sort the men from the boys first. Who's going to finish in those top 2 positions in Group A and Group B, the vital positions that will take them into the upper bracket of the main event. Plenty to look forward to today as we have 6 more series, 12 more games, where we'll find out just who's got some form in both Group A and Group B. Yesterday we saw 6 series, of course, take place across the 2 groups, and there were some surprising results and some fairly predictable ones as well. OG going 2-0, 2-0, picking up a maximum 6 points. The only team to do so across both Group A and Group B. Plenty of points about for all the other teams as well. Faceless picking up a vital point against Empire, who likewise were impressive yesterday, picking up 4 points themselves to sit second in Group A. In Group B, it was a tough day for EG. They came through with just a point against MP and then failed to pick up any against Vitality. They've got a big day ahead of them as they start their campaign today against Newbie. IG, on the other hand, also playing well yesterday, picked up a point against NP, and there was a big match as well for Vitality. As we said, they picked up the full 3 points against Evil Geniuses. But the team at the top, the team to beat, are Newbie after a 2-0 win against Vitality and picking up a point against Team Liquid. So that's how they played out yesterday, and this is how they look in terms of the group standings right now. As we said, OG with a perfect record from yesterday, the only team of the 12 to do so. But you'll see the rundown of the points. Empire picking up 4. Wings have 3 after a win and a loss. LFY and the bottom 2 also picking up a point. That's Group A. And in Group B, it was a fairly similar story as well, though we didn't have any perfect records yesterday. Newbie picking up 4. IG also picking up 4. Their teammates at Vitality with 3 points. MP with 2 draws in a row to get 2 points. And they could be very vital in the run for the top 2 spots. And the bottom 2 teams, incredibly, after day 1, are Team Liquid and Evil Geniuses. As I said, we've got plenty to look forward to today, and the schedule will be looking something like this. We'll start off with Newbie versus Evil Geniuses. It'll be a fantastic matchup. We're looking forward to that one. But we'll also have 5 more series throughout the day on both streams. We'll start off with Stream 2, Wings Gaming versus LFY. VGJ will Faceless at 11:30. Big match for both teams as well with the current point standings. OG continue their way through by playing Empire. Big game at the top of the table to see whether OG can carry on with a 100% record. And then we'll have 3 more matches on Stream 2, finishing off in Group A with VGJ versus Team Empire. On the main stream, we'll have 6 matches as well. We'll kick things off here in a few moments' time with Newbie versus EG. What a great game to start things off. And then it'll be the pair of IGs going head-to-head in Group B. We'll stay with Group B as we head into EG versus Team Liquid before switching over to Group A for a couple of games, including Wings against Faceless, OG versus LFY. And we'll finish the day with Liquid versus NP in Group B. So, plenty to look forward to today, and we've got 2 men on the couch who are also chomping at the bit to see what happens with the rest of the action. Welcome back to PPD and to Purge. How do you summarise day 1, Peter? What was it for you? Was there some surprises, predictability? What was it?
Yeah, definitely a bunch of surprises. I think probably the most disappointing team was EG of all teams, which is surprising for me. I thought they were going to do really well, but it's still very early, and it's OG could lose both their games today, and they could be in a similar. They could be tied with a bunch of other teams. So I will know a lot more after today.
Yeah, EG obviously slow starters sometimes. We've said it before at many tournaments, but never count them out. Kevin, what stood out for you on day 1?
Looking at the schedule or the standings there, it was that both Liquid and EG were at the bottom of the group, and even NP was above them, which is the team that we expected not to do as well, considering that they didn't make it to Kiev. So, yeah, definitely a lot of upsets. Both IG squads doing really well. Very impressive for them. I think the regular IG looked really, really good, in my opinion. So, just, a lot of interesting results.
Yeah.
Empire doing really well. That's
I think that was the biggest for me. Was Empire was how did they pick up 4 points yesterday? So a big day for them. And if they can carry on today, who knows? They might even make that top 2. And we definitely wouldn't have had them in the top 2 going through from their group. Such a tough group. We're going to move into our first game of the day very shortly, and we'll start with talking about a team that. They've been inconsistent, it has to be said. Last year we looked at them as sort of around about mid-year. Newbie were the team to beat. They had that incredible record-beating run of victories. Everyone said they're going to go to Epicenter, they're going to win, they're going to wipe the floor with everyone. Didn't quite happen for them. And that seems to be the story for them for the last 12 months, Kevin. The nearly men, if you like, of Dota 2.
Yeah, they're super good, definitely. But they've been inconsistent. They're off to a great start here, though. Topping their group, at least. I think they're tied with IG.
They're tied at top with 4.
I believe. So very respectable. They've only lost 1 game out of the 4. So if they can get a couple 2-0 wins, like maybe 1 or 2 more, I feel like that guarantees them top 6 for the tournament. So definitely the winner bracket for them. And I think they definitely have the talent. They definitely have the strategies. They seem refined. They don't make many mistakes. I would definitely say they're one of the favorites.
Yeah. Peter, what are your thoughts on Newbie?
I talked about it a bit yesterday. I just think as long as KPI continues to play consistently and well, I think they'll have a lot of success. I think all of their players are incredibly skilled, especially their mid player, SC.
Yep.
And, I think it just really depends on this guy right here.
Currently browsing drafts, double checking. I saw that. I recognize that webpage.
Phones are gone.
Indeed. Last minute preparations.
It's game time.
Going in for Newbie. And they're head to head with Evil Geniuses, your team, Peter. And you yourself, I mean, I didn't put words in your mouth. You said they were disappointing yesterday. Why was that, though? Is it because they have this weird, doesn't matter what the lineup is, they seem to start slow? What is it? Can't just be that.
Well, I mean, they're not at the bottom of their bracket, right? Like they are, but they're tied.
Technically, they're tied at the bottom.
Yeah, they're tied. It's just people have such good, such strong expectations of them every tournament. It's just, I think they won their last tournament, or I forget, but anyways, they have a couple of championships this season, and I think people are expecting similar results. Yeah. So when they start off a little slow, I think it's disappointing. I think that they're disappointed that they didn't have a better start, but EG Day 1 is notoriously just kind of like a little slow, and I expect them to, it's a new patch as well, so I'm sure they'll fix a couple things, and who knows, maybe even Alchemist will be banned this time. Yeah,
well, maybe. Let's take a look at their lineup right now as well and show you the 5 men. Not that you need reminded, but we'll remind you anyway of the 5 superstars that are in Evil Geniuses: Arteezy, Sumail, Universe, Zai, and Crit. A lot of pressure on the shoulders of Crit Purge after some incredible success by the man sitting next to you. Do you feel like he's coped with that pressure well?
Yeah, I think so. He definitely seems very cool, calm, collected kind of a thing. Doesn't seem like the stress really gets to him. He's never really been that vocal of a player, at least within the community of the Dota 2 scene. It just seems like he keeps his head down and plays his games and doesn't worry about the other stuff.
In many ways, the perfect replacement for Peter in the team.
I mean, I wouldn't say that everything I just said was exactly Peter's
I
personality.
I was teasing a little bit.
I don't think we're that similar, but
I was trying to allude to the salt from yesterday, Peter, but yeah, it didn't come off.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No? Oh, okay.
There was a Reddit thread. I didn't get to open it, but...
There was?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
I don't know what you said. You flamed somebody.
Did you?
I don't remember flaming
way. Peter yesterday flaming people? No,
I don't think I said anything. I don't know what it could possibly be about, but sure, whatever. I'm sure it's taken out of context. I didn't really mean what I said.
Yeah.
Is that a Trump defense or?
Well, fake Peter news. Is that what we've got now?
Let's just try and leave the politics out of this, guys. It's been a rough year.
All right.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say it's a really easy team to be captain for. I think that no credit taken off of Crit, but people gave me so much credit for drafting and all of these things, but that whole team thinks about everything. Everyone's involved in the drafting and strategy, and everyone has an opinion, and everyone plays all the time, so they know what's good and what isn't good. It's just it's a team that's kind of built a recipe for success.
Yeah.
And
yeah. No, I think we've had that discussion before, haven't we, privately, where we've said we probably gave you too much credit sometimes for the drafting, but at the same time we weren't to know because we don't know the ins and outs of the workings of the team. So it's we can only say what we see on the screen, and it looks to us like you're making these cool draft decisions. But yeah, obviously it's a big collective. Let's move to predictions now between these two. They're both very talented teams, but this is a big game for EG. I would say more so than the Newbie in a way, because Newbie is sat there with 4 points. If they pick up a draw here, that's 5 points. That still keeps them up at the top. EG need a win, don't they, Peter?
They would like a win. I don't. Maybe if they tie, this is gonna probably one of their hardest. I don't know. Group B is so tough, so it's
you could go in the middle now.
They need a win at some point.
You can go 1-1 or you can go 2-0 either way.
I think if it's weird because I think if EG wins game 1, they can win 2-0. But if they lose game 1, I'm not sure how they stand.
Okay.
I would guess a 2-0 in either direction.
I don't know if we have
you got a graphic for that.
Production's
so underprepared. It's unprofessional.
We thought we'd come up with all of the variations, but actually Peter came up with the
I'll take 2-0 EG just because
Because
why
EG,
not?
right?
Yeah, EG.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Kevin?
I was going to say 1-1. I could definitely see. I feel like EG's going to bounce back, play a little bit better than yesterday, and close the game out. So, but I think Newbie's good enough that they'll definitely take a win in the other one.
Okay, all right, 1-1 Purge and a 2-0, unsurprisingly, for PPD. In terms of matchups, what do you want to take a look at in this particular? What are you looking for when they go head to head? Are you looking at mid lanes? Are you looking at the supports? What are you looking for?
I think the mid lane will be really interesting.
Yeah.
Those are like two kind of like pub stars who got their rise from just like playing all the time and playing very well.
Yeah, and have some extraordinary stats. It has to be said. Average kills per match, I think very close in most of those stats. There's not much between them, but it's more about the way they play, isn't it? It's not really about what they deliver in terms of statistics, Kevin. It's their styles and the flashiness that you get from both of those players. It excites me when I watch them, and I know it excites many other people when they see them play. So what are you looking for in this particular match? Do you want them on those flashy heroes? Do you want them on something a bit more standard that can be a bit more team fight orientated with the rest of the team?
I guess I like flashier heroes on Sumail. I think when he plays overly farm heroes, he spends a little bit too much time farming, whereas if he plays flashy heroes, I feel like he can always get back in the game. On SCC's side, he can definitely handle flashy heroes, but I feel like he plays slightly more conservative.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised based on the deaths average. It was higher for SCCC, but I guess I just feel like the matchup is going to be really straightforward. They're both going to be doing really well. It all comes down to like who gets ganked more, who fits better with their team after 15 minutes.
Okay. Peter, do you think draft has begun, by the way? We'll keep our eye on it. Peter, with regards to Miracle, we've often said when he was in OG, it's 4 protect 1 effectively. Sure. Do you feel like Sumail was a little bit like that at times with EG as well? Do you feel like that was the kind of compositions you were putting together?
I think it's important to have a polarizing player. I've always talked about that, and having a player that you can kind of make a strategy around and play around makes the game a lot simpler.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily better. Obviously, it'd be great if your whole team like played perfectly in synergy, but for the sake of winning Dota games, oftentimes if a very simple and direct goal makes things a lot easier. I think that we were able to do that with Sumail, and I think that was kind of when we had our tour in Sumail on the team before, that was one of the hardest things to do is you have two such amazing players, and you had to learn how to play with both of them, and that was really tough for us, and I think that they are starting to really figure that out, and it's finally making sense, especially like our tour and Sumail to each other.
Right.
Like that relationship was very complicated as well. Yeah. So seems to be getting figured out. They're winning tournaments.
Yeah, we'll see. TI is not that far away either. That has to be the goal, of course. First pick for Evil Genius is a lifesteal. Do you think, Peter, they might be a bit more standard today? It sort of wandered a little bit yesterday, didn't it?
It got a little weird against NP. I don't think their drafts were. I mean, we talked about them against IGV, and they just kind of went with Alchemist.
Yeah,
it's not banned again, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know where their heads are at right now. So I don't know. Maybe they'll go Alchemist again. Who knows?
Well, let's hope not.
With Lifestealer, I'm not sold on that one. I guess unless you want to do fun like Ags plays or something.
Yeah, well, no, I'm definitely not sold either. But. We didn't think they were going to pick it in Game 2 of last night, and they did it. So
we have a first pick Slaughter. I think that's the first time. It's not the first time it's been played here, but it is the first time we've seen it first picked.
It's basically because EG opened with 2 supports that aren't necessarily Tier 1 ban territory. They ban like Tier 2 heroes kind of, and therefore they left a lot in. They picked the Lifestealer that forces their opponents to grab Slaughter so that they don't get it. But they can still grab like Invis heroes or other good Lifestealer combos right now if they want. But the Slaughter Ursa are definitely really good responses to Lifestealer. They're both counters in a way.
Ursa definitely a good matchup for Lifestealer, or Lifestealers. Ursa does well against Lifestealer. Sorry, that made not a lot of sense.
We were with you.
Yeah, and then Slaughter is kind of like that deny pick like we talked about.
Definitely can be good against Lifestealer though.
Yeah, lots of physical damage from Newbie and 2 melee heroes to start the draft.
I think Lifestealer is a more standard way to play right now. I think it's safer. I feel like that already gives me more confidence in EG because a lot of their other picks were getting a little weird sometimes.
Spirit is the most popular pick so far here at DAC.
And it's one of the easiest ways to do a Lifestealer bomb in the early game. Crits or Spirit is really good, so covers the bases, gives them bomb territory. It's a good pick.
We haven't had any like really like standout RTC games yet this tournament, and seeing this Lifestealer in the first phase, I think they're going to try and play around him a bit more instead of putting so much pressure on Sumail to perform. I think yesterday we saw like Artesia on Slark, where he kind of played a hard carry role. But even then, like, Invoker was top of the net worth, and Sumail was kind of like the Sumail show.
Yeah, and a lot of times they really just gave him bad matchups too. Like the game he played Bloodseeker, he was like pretty much solo versus a duel, sometimes tri-lane. Like they really have been putting him in bad situations. And
they've also, I feel like EG's almost been favoring Dire over picks, because I think yesterday they had Dire both games.
I think so. Is that Alchemist related though, or is that just?
Well, it's, you know, when you don't have second pick, you don't get the last pick of the game, and oftentimes that's either your carry or your mid that you last pick, and that's what, like, you know, you pick that last pick Morphling, and that's when, you know, all the Morphling looks really good because he's set up for success. And I feel like they've been picking Arteezy's hero almost like fourth, or in this case, they first picked it. So it's very likely that Newbee's going to have, you know, 4 or 5 heroes that are pretty good against Lifestealer. So it might actually be a hard game for Lifestealer.
Is that also a potential focus that they want them to take, though?
Some double line games.
Yeah. Maybe they're like, okay, we'll give you the Lifestealer straight off. You can focus on countering that, and then we'll blow your mind with our 5th pick, and Sumail can just run riot.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. It's just unfortunate that you know, your one position is going to be kind of countered in a lot of ways. But Lifestealer is just an overall, like, really strong hero, and even if, you know, he has mobility issues, you can just do some sort of infest combos, and he can still do a lot of damage.
It's also very difficult to kill, especially when he's got a lot of focus. We saw it yesterday. Several teams just, you know, 10, 12, burning. 15 abilities on burning, and just still couldn't kill him, but still focused. We've nearly got him, so we'll stay on him. But actually, his teammates were a bit busy doing a lot of work for him as well. So
Lifestealer's good in lane. He's very good in, like, the mid game. He's also, I mean, I think he's pretty good. He's pretty good at, like, all stages of the game, to be honest. He can get kited in the late game once a bunch of 4 staffs come out and blink daggers and stuff, but he offers a little bit of, like, building push, because a lot of Lifestealers are building Deso these days, and you can just kind of hit rage and hit the building, which is nice. A lot of drafts are oftentimes missing things like that. It's like, especially like an Ursa draft, a lot of times they like building damage, which is where I see Ursa lineups kind of fall off.
And they're going pretty heavy into the minus armor, so it could be support, most likely support, I guess, unless they put Ursa mid, because they get Slardar support. No, it's probably support Venge, I guess. The nicest benefit about this is whoever the Lifestealer bomb goes on, you swap that person out, and usually that buys you enough time to actually take a normal team fight. Whereas if it goes the other way and that person gets killed, then usually you're starting a 5v4. So, and then obviously minus armor stacking with Slardar.
They got pretty good Roshan this game so far.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. Yeah. So they may not even need to kill opponents before they take Rosh. It could be like a 20-second smoke thing. Just instantly dead Rosh.
I wonder if EG will value some sort of vision hero. TA could be nice for Sumail. Drop a little trap in there. Keep tabs.
I guess I'd like TA. I think it's decent here.
Yeah, it's hard to say right now as a 3rd pick, because there's still 2 more options for Newbie, but it could be good if Newbie doesn't pick heroes that deal with him very well.
I feel like EG right now is wishing they had Dazzle for armor bonus and stuff like that.
Yeah, Dazzle would have been nice. Especially, yeah. Warlock's not bad, though.
Yeah, helps interrupt Newbie's initiation, basically, no matter if they have BKB or not. It's not bad.
Off the team fight. I would say EG right now is favored in the team fight category quite a lot. Newbie's hero is very, like, single target, you know, kind of burst one person. So if they're able to disrupt that kill, they could definitely turn around team fights. And those heroes are, Venge is, you know, a ranged hero, but he's, you know, kind of short range, and he tends to be kind of in the midst of battle. So Earth Spirit should be able to land a lot of combos and a lot of stones.
Yeah, even heroes like Slardar look really vulnerable against, like, Warlock or Spirit. Just AoE team fight is really dangerous for him once he initiates. I think Upheaval would be amazing this game too against Ursa.
Do you think KPI will play a Slardar, or do you think that's going to be a support Slardar?
It could be him. I feel like he normally plays... I've seen him play Slardar before, I think. He definitely does really well.
EG ban Darkseer, kind of expecting that support Slardar. That's a kind of a pretty common combos to do the 4-position Slardar with a Darkseer.
Maybe they're just worried about the dual lane against Lifestealer, though, because if... I guess Warlock kind of covers their laning aspect a little bit, but if it was like Darkseer, then Earth Spirit would have to be in safe lane a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, that tri-lane doesn't really do too well. Like, Warlock Earth Spirit against, like, a Slardar Darkseer.
Yeah.
Seems like a pretty decent lane for Newbie.
Okay,
there's the Barrier. So we will have Slardar is the 4, and then KPI on the bat, most likely.
Because EG doesn't have their mid yet, so they wouldn't like pick it to go mid.
Nice thing for EG is that Lifestealer can actually solo lane against Batrider, which is nice, and especially with like a little help from Warlock. Lifestealer will definitely have free farm in that lane if it's set up that way.
It's really needed against Ursa. Okay, Invoker pick.
So
So the one thing EG is kind of missing right now, in my opinion, I guess they have like Earth Spirit to set up Sunstrikes, but I would maybe like their offlane to be capable of that as well. Maybe something like a Nyx. And they're against a Batrider as well. Like if Newbie doesn't ban Nyx here, I'm going to be really surprised.
Yeah, the one worrisome thing about, I mean, Nyx could be good. The one like worrisome thing is that Ursa can just kind of destroy him in lane.
That's true. And it would leave them a little bit. They would just have a Lifestealer Invoker. They'd have a 2-core lineup, which could be scary. I guess that's not that big of a deal against what Newbie has either. They go for the Sand King instead. Another setup would be much better in lane against Ursa.
Yeah, they definitely need something that can, I don't know, they might just kind of sack that lane against Ursa and put Universe on a hero that can just kind of initiate team fights, and he can maybe just Iron Talon or just kind of be sacked in the early game.
Just jungle, yeah.
Something like that.
Are you pleased with the Invoker pick?
I think it's fine. You know, they fourth picked it because they were worried about it being banned in the last phase. It's a comfort hero for Sumail. It's a hero he plays very well. It's not the best hero. He can struggle against Batrider a lot of times. Like this game, I think Invoker is very susceptible to just being, blink lassoed, and they don't really have a save for him.
Do you think maybe Crit's made the decision though that actually let's give Sumail a comfort hero rather than pick a better counter?
Sumail can play a lot of heroes.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, Newbie's gonna last pick their mid, and you don't know what that is. So you kind of need to pick a hero that's like very neutral and that can do well in a lot of matchups.
Would you have preferred to leave it to 5?
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Maybe you wouldn't.
All right. Does this mean aggro try? They'll try to force a Puck bat 1v1? Is that what's happening?
Is that a good 1v1 for Puck?
3 base damage buff, dude. He's ready to go.
I don't know.
I don't think it's a good matchup. No.
I don't know about that last pick Puck.
A Puck for EG and a Nagasaran for Newbie.
The Puck is so weird.
Very quickly before we head over to the commentary team, Peter, which draft do you like?
Oh, EG is 100%.
100%. Thought that was coming. Kevin?
I don't know. I'd have to look at it for a while. I'm gonna say Newbie, I think, because I don't see how the Puck fits in, but maybe I'm missing something.
Okay.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes indeed. Enough from us as we pass you over to our commentary team for our first game of the day. Capitalist and Lyrical. It's all yours.
Thank you very much, Paul and the panel, and hello and welcome to your first game of the day. It's EG versus Newbie. Cap, we're seeing a Naga Siren in this one. The last pick Puck, a little bit interesting as well. What's your thoughts on the draft? Are you excited to hop into this one?
Yeah, I think I'm looking at the draft. I did feel like the last pick from Evil Geniuses, no matter what it was going to be, it wasn't going to be real spectacular. I think I thought the best options was Nyx Assassin or Sand King. The Sand King banned away, left Nyx, and it was just kind of like, okay, Nyx isn't going to really do what you want in the laning phase, but you needed a controlling hero of some kind, right? And then they just pull out this Puck instead, something that I haven't seen since probably Cloud9 was running the offlane Puck a whole bunch in the early stages of 7.0. So it's viable, I think, just barely. It's going to be tough. I'm not sure how Universe is going to be able to pull it off, but Universe always seems to find a way. So I'm not going to take too much away from him.
All right, well, let's get ready to hop into the game right now. Again, your first one of the day, Group B action. EG definitely needing a win here again, just to keep it in perspective as where they're at in the table, bottom of the group. Meanwhile, Newbie sitting up there at the top, and already some movement out here by Zai. Get down a nice ward over here in the Dire jungle, and this is kind of going to be an interesting little start to this game because we've seen occasionally a very aggressive dual offlane with a Slardar and a Batrider. Not sure if they're going to go for that this time in particular, but it's still something that's potentially there if they wanted to try and pressure those supports pretty heavily. And a movement out as well. They will spot out that movement by Newbie, Evil Geniuses, and probably get a D ward there as well.
Yeah, it looks like Evil Geniuses are just making sure they really can't deal with any sort of aggro wards right now. Any sort of aggro wards that you can lay down in the beginning of the game really help you be able to decipher exactly what Crit on the Earth Spirit is up to, and his rotations are going to be very key here because Evil Geniuses do have a pretty fast-paced lineup. They chose to go with the early Lifestealer. Their scaling hero is really the Invoker here, and with an off-lane Puck, it doesn't really leave much late game for them against a Naga Siren and Ursa, right? This Naga Siren lineup wants to be able to draw out the game quite a bit. Evil Genius is going to have to play very fast, and it all starts in the laning phase. If Crit can make the right rotations to keep SC down in the mid lane or even go up to top lane and help that Puck versus Batrider matchup, which is not going to be overly favorable to the Puck either, then that can actually change a lot for EG and set them off on the right foot.
Already you're seeing the movement across the map, all of these different lanes switching up slightly. The Warlock TP'd to the bottom lane, and this is going to be a full-on aggro tri-lane versus aggro tri-lane as a quick Sunstrike out there to try and get a range creep as well. Sumail's taking a good bit of damage. How do you feel like this matchup plays out, the Naga Siren versus Invoker in the mid?
Oh, it's a great matchup for the Naga Siren. He can just abuse the Invoker pretty easily. You just kind of run illusions out there. You're going to be able to mostly free farm, barring any gank from the Earth Spirit. You should be able to just kind of farm away against an Invoker, and that's what a Naga Siren wants. I think SC got one of the more favorable mid matchups in the series that I've seen so far for EG. Normally, they like to be able to make sure that Sumail has strong 1v1s because he is probably one of the best laners in the world.
This is something we were sort of mentioning offhand to each other at the start of the game, too. There's very limited stuns in this laning phase for EG, particularly down their bottom. And I'm kind of wondering, do you think they can take advantage of this and find some kills early on with the combination of, quick magic missile, the stun from Slardar?
I mean, they can definitely inhibit Arteezy's farm quite a bit with his aggro tri-lane, and I think Evil Geniuses, they need to abandon the idea of trying to match this tri-lane versus tri-lane. I would even be okay with Zai. Unfortunately, their easy camp is blocked away. They managed to get a sentry down that hasn't been countered, so they don't have that opportunity. Ooh, this is kind of rough, though.
Oh, my God. They're all over him already. And on top of Crit, right-clicks coming in from U9, trying to find that kill. And it does look like, indeed, they're going to be able to draw first blood. Faith potentially going to end up taking a little bit of harassment here as well. But it looks like with the big bad Ursa, the strong person in this lane, they're able to force him back.
Yeah, there's no way this matchup is even close. When these three heroes clash together against each other, Ursa offers a lot more fighting power early on. You have the better nuke and disable coming out from the Vengeful Spirit. It gives you like that quick damage and also control that'll always be able to get the first kill when these three heroes match up against each other. So I would much rather have them play a lot more passive. This laning fake sucks for EG. They don't like this, but Zai just needs to be able to try and open up one of these camps, try and do some pulling. And Sumail's actually in a bit of trouble.
They're on top of him. Kaka, he's already used Sprint, but there's going to be a crush. The DD rune to boot, and now losing out potentially on 2 of the 3 lanes. This is looking quite rough for EG.
Yeah, this is terrible. And Crit really can't do much because it looks like the Naga Siren is just never going to be a position for a reliable gank. He's always going to be a bit too high HP. So that only really leaves him top lane, which he's trying to set up for Universe right now. But he always has these high level of sticky napalm stacks, and he doesn't really feel comfortable challenging KP. So I'm not sure what Crit can really do. The static laning phase is set against them. He doesn't have a whole lot of roaming options either. Newbie have just basically cracked open the whole entire laning phase and are going to be able to walk away with, I think, a huge net worth and experience lead by 10 minutes.
They're on top of Arteezy yet again. Right clicks coming through. U9 all in him, and the Bear Man hugs Lifestealer to death. And you talk about it up there as well. They placed that ward on the high ground on the Dire side, so they spotted out the movement from Crit the entire time. KP was just positioned beautifully up there, and they weren't able to find the kill.
Yeah, I think a lot of this does come back to the draft. It seems like Evil Geniuses, watching the difference from them drafting in day number 1 and day number 2, it does feel like they're trying to crack the code that is the first 4 picks of the game. You saw yesterday they were putting a lot more focus on making sure there wasn't this light. It's the problem of Magnus, Lifestealer, and I think a little bit in Juggernaut as well. There's some of these powerful duos that they can't afford the enemy team to actually pick up. So I think they're still trying to crack this code, and this time around, instead of banning away Lifestealer, they pick it up for themselves. But it obviously left huge weaknesses in their draft, especially since they banned Dazzle. It meant the Ursa was a fantastic second pick.
Yeah, and you see right there as well, Kaka just continuing his movement around the map too, getting the early roaming potential and stealing away the runes. This is another thing, is that if you try and leave for a little bit for EG to go pick those up, you're not the fastest heroes in the world, and that's more time that Arteezy's not really farming. 16-2 versus the 19-9 of the Ursa so far. Now, this is still an early point in the laning phase. Do you think that the EG lineup can fight once they start to get these levels up? Are they going to take too much damage in the laning phase?
Well, with the first thing that's really going to change for Evil Geniuses is when they get that Infest Bomb from Arteezy, and they can make more powerful rotations with the Earth Spirit. For example, like Earth Spirit could run down to bottom, they can infest inside of him, then Earth Spirit could TP into mid or top. That would be a very fast play that could get a critical kill on a core. That's the kind of thing that Evil Geniuses is going to have to do in order to claw their way back from this very bad laning phase. Because right now, they don't really have any options. They just kind of have to suffer in silence. So watch Arteezy, you know, he's not moving. His hands off the keyboard, you know?
Oh, God, yeah, that looks really painful. And it's not really changing. He can just sort of sit there and not really approach the lane at all. They scout out. There's a scan. Yes, there is indeed Kaka still there. And, I mean, they're able to get the D ward. But, man, this is a frustrating game for a Lifestealer.
And Kaka's even going to start moving over towards that 6-minute room. Maybe they know about this, though, and they think this is the opportunity to go on U9. But I just don't really see them having the kill power, though. And Ursa is relatively tanky, and he does have phase boots.
Oh, and while this is happening, over towards mid, there's a movement in. They want to try and go onto Sumail. It looks like they're not quite in position to be able to find him. Although if he steps too far forward, there is a chance. So he's just going to ghost walk away.
Sumail definitely knows about this. Like, all of EG knew this kind of rotation. They knew the two supports were going to rotate in, get that 6-minute rune, and take it away from the EG supports. And they think this is an opportunity to maybe have it go on U9, but he's so powerful, even just as a solo hero, now they're going to get wrapped around him.
Oh my God, Arteezy's there, but you do have crit in the area. Maybe thinking about turning onto this. Sunstrike comes through as well. They brought in the puck. Every damn person from EG shows up in the bottom lane, and now trying to find more. Faith running away. There is no more boulders coming out from crit. So they find two, much needed for EG there.
Yeah, that was perfect timing by Universe, really providing the saving grace there in what could have been a very disastrous team fight for EG. This is kind of what they have to do, right? It's like the same concept of moving the Lifestealer and the Earth Spirit around pretty early, is that you have to make multiple hero rotations to upset what is the innate nature of this game, the way this laning phase is going. It's just kind of an auto win for Newbie in many ways, so it's going to be EG who have to make a lot of different plays around the map, play very fast and very movement heavy.
Yeah, another Sunstrike coming in onto Faith. A little bit off the mark there. Might have been able to bring them both down with that Fatal Bonds on two of those heroes, but it does look like they'll be able to walk away, and crit paid for the trouble. I mean, the other thing to keep in mind here is that there's still a Naga Siren draft on top of the early laning phase win that Newbie is having. How much is that going to play into this as well? Like, do EG have the heroes to deal with Radiance Naga?
They don't really. They don't have like really good lane pushers. They don't have a single hero that's fantastic at being able to quickly deal with illusions as they push out. They mostly just have a lot of mid-game team fight and initiation between the Puck Lifestealer bomb as well as then the follow-up counter initiation that's going to be from the Warlock and his Chaotic Offering. So with those elements, they can dominate at 20 minutes.
Oh, a nice pickup there again. Sumail is going to be able to hit that Sunstrike, and any little bit of kills like that you can find are just so value for EG at this point. Now moving in for the Shrine, and maybe I guess you can start trying to heavily prioritize getting Zai some more levels in a bit, so you can start team fighting around that. In the meantime, we have seen Ursa actually queue up. Is that a Hand of Midas as well? Or Helm of the Dominator? Okay, I was going to say.
I think Helm of Dominator is a bit better.
Seen a lot of Chinese Midases over the past couple weeks.
We definitely have, and you, I think, will continue to see a lot of Hand of Midases from the Chinese teams. They think they've slowed it down a little bit from what was happening just before this DAC LAN. Before that, there was a lot more Hand of Midases, but I think the Western teams play a little bit faster and kind of take advantage of some of the overly abundant weaknesses that multiple Midases give you. So.
Probably a good choice not to go for that one. But still, you know, you start looking at the next couple of minutes here. It does feel like the early laning woes of EG have been solved at least slightly. How do you feel like I mean, there's sort of multiple Infest Bombs now. Is they're going to actually go onto U9 and catch him again. Sunstrike not going to be there. Enrage pops, turns to fight. Crit in some trouble as well. They're going to be able to run him down almost. Well, that is going to be a Dream Coil committed. U9 still barely alive here, but is finally going to drop. We'll see if they can bring down Universe Puck. Flame Break break is a little bit off the mark, but Faith, he will be able to go for some more right clicks here. Trying to run him down. Universe pulled back in and should be brought down with that one. Well, he gets another illusory orb. Jaunt away. They've got Universe in their sights, but he's so low, they aren't quite able to run him down as of yet. And
Nice
Crit comes
kick.
in to save the day. Flame Break connects. That should be enough. Jaunt not going to be there.
Oh, man, he used that phase shift earlier and wasn't able to dodge the flame break, and that was the nail in the coffin for him. He just bought so much space and time, but he didn't actually manage to get out. They need to use Arteezy, I think, pretty soon here. Start moving him around the map to make sure when they make those kind of aggressive plays that they win it hands down, and TP rotations from Newbee don't stop them. Because that's the thing, is Newbee is incredibly good. I think they're the kings of defensive TP rotations. Yeah. They're super good at being able to always have a TP ready to go and have multiple heroes respond to an attempted gank. And even if they lose that hero, they'll always get a kill and return, just like you saw in the top lane.
Yeah, and I think that this is something that, EG have developed an understanding of this, too. They have a storied history against each other. A couple of those matches at MDL long ago, you think about how well they did in those tournaments and stuff. So they've been good to make sure that, EG responding in similar fashion. When the puck rotated down bottom for those first couple of kills, stemmed the flow of the blood. And now, well, Crit is set up here in the top lane with Universe. Not sure if they're going to be able to go on to Ursa again, but with the Sunstrike, there's always a threat of a kill with these heroes on the map.
Somebody's got to open up a lane for Zai, and it looks like it's going to be some male actually abandoning the mid lane. His Hand of Midas is coming up anyway. I think Arteezy wants to finish off his armlet before he starts getting aggressive, and that's just the symptom of a bad laning phase. Normally an armlet would already be there for a lifestealer, and he'd be good to leave his lane, play jungle, and play a little bit more of a ganking style. But he needs that item desperately before he starts being active around the map.
Well, this is a nice play if they can pull it off. There are a couple of EG heroes in the area, and the smoke breaks inside the Roche pit. Do they realize it, though? It doesn't look like they do, and because of that, Newbie are going to enable a free Roshan for themselves. So pop the song to make sure it happens. Now up here on the top side, they're going to initiate onto Crit. Can they quite get him? They're going to be a rolling away, and it looks like EG will get out, but early Roche going the way of Newbie.
Yeah, that was a very cool idea. Them utilizing the mid-Naga Siren to always protect the Roshan attempts here from the Ursa. That is actually going to be a very big problem for Evil Geniuses. The next time Roshan is up, they're going to have to keep 5 heroes, I think, in that top half of the map and always be around that pit, because they can't just kind of like poke at Roshan against a Naga Siren. They need that kind of full all-in committal that forces the Song of Siren and then try and reset and still fight out.
Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Faith is going to, well, not quite
Infest?
drop. Infest isn't
no.
there. Oh, that hurts.
Now he doesn't have Infest or Rage. I think he just dies now.
Oh, Arteezy dove a little bit too deep for that one and is punished heavily. And this is starting to turn very quickly into Newbie's favor again.
He still does not have that armlet. So even as he revives, if he had the armlet, it'd be kind of okay because it would be a reset of some sorts. Lifestealer comes back, and he can choose to TP wherever he wants and go with an ally, and they could put the pressure on some sort of lane. And Newbie would just have to kind of sit there and wait for that aggressive response. But without the armlet, I think Arteezy still doesn't want to make that kind of play. He'll have to maybe jungle a little bit before he has that item. And all the meanwhile, Naga Siren's just free farming away. You may even have a Radiance before the first gank happens on SC.
God, that would be really a very bad situation for Evil Geniuses, to say the very least. And now Newbie going to be able to secure this Tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, try and take over map control. I think that EG has been doing a really good job of getting wards out across the map. You look over in the Dire jungle, and they've got pretty good vision throughout, but it is still a problem of connecting with these ganks, and Newbie has basically abandoned that side of the map, at least for the moment, while Naga Siren continues to farm out the other areas of the jungle that aren't under vision.
They just don't have a good support to really deal with this Ursa. So Ursa has run rampant over the first 15 minutes of the game, and it's bought tons of space for not just SEC, but also allowing KP to have a very favorable 1v1 for such a long time. He now has his Blink Dagger by 13 minutes, and he's going to be a terror around the map. EG probably know about this Blink Dagger timing, and they just have to stay relatively grouped up. You know, they have to be able to stay close enough to each other that if a Bat Rider does pop out somewhere and grab someone, the rest of the team can respond and try and counter it.
Yeah, and that's where their team fight strategy really plays out well. Unfortunately, Newbie sort of have the answer to that in the Naga Siren split push eventually. It's just them making sure that they're able to run down the lanes, EG at various points, and try and pressure to the best of their abilities, cut off that farm of the Naga Siren. But she already has a relic 14.5 minutes in. Wow.
If you look at Newbie's positioning around the map, what oftentimes is they're going to be doing is they're going to be pushing out as 4 kind of aggressively. And in many ways, they're kind of scouting and posing an aggressive threat, while the Naga Siren is going to be playing more defensive, surrounded by all these offensive heroes, right? So EG will never have an opportunity, even when they do get the initiation and they get those timings, they won't be able to make a smoke play that catches the Naga Siren because they will inevitably run into a Slardar or a Bat Rider who are aggressively positioned.
Yeah, and you see this smoke gank, and it's exactly what you talked about. KP there to break it in case it came from the north side, and that's looking like it's what's going to happen. Immaculate positioning right now from Newbie. We'll see if this smoke is going to be able to connect at all. He's not in Firefly, so does not scout them out. But EG also not realizing, there's the blink away. They're fine. The ward was placed aggressively. They spot out everything. Newbie is going to TP away.
Wow, he's not even going to get
so
caught.
Good. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they're just reading Evil Geniuses. They're reading them like a book, but it's also because the laning phase was so bad that there are limited options for EG. It's pretty obvious that EG has to make rotations and try and catch these heroes because they've hit their timings, right? They have the Blink Dagger on Puck and the Armlet on Lifestealer. You know exactly what's coming, and Newbie are just playing around it beautifully.
And you don't want to go on the Ursa with the Aegis at this point either. That's not the fight that you want to take. So Universe still holding Arteezy side of him. They're moving up for KP. They've been chasing him around the whole map. First it was bottom, then it was sort of in the mid area. Naga Siren has a Radiance at 16 minutes, and they're still not going to find a kill here. Yeah. So what's the answer? Is it just more of the same and hope you get better with your ability to find those kills, or is there any plan B really?
There is going to be an opportunity when the Aegis fades away from the Ursa. Evil Geniuses will have better options because before they had to play a little bit more pick-off oriented. They needed a really strong initiation and started off on a hero that wasn't Ursa. And that's what led Newbie to, hiding the Bat Rider aggressively and doing things like that. Now they have some other options to them that the Aegis is gone. They can just straight up smoke straight into whatever heroes they can, and they'll feel comfortable winning a 5v5. But they still do have to worry that a Naga Siren sleep in the right position could actually counter them entirely.
Oh, this is a nice combination. They're going to be on top of the Ursa, manage to find that pickoff. Sumail, the bright spot in this team certainly for Evil Geniuses, second highest in net worth, has his Agnum Scepter, has the Midas completed. This, I feel like, to me, is where you play around for EG.
Yeah, I can't blame... his positioning looks bad, but that's a position that you're not expecting vision to be had by EG. But they did have it simply because of that smoke play earlier where it popped. They laid a ward down as the smoke popped, which is pretty natural. And that ward ends up, scouting the ancient pit that the Ursa was farming. So just a bit of bad luck, really.
All right. Well, and this is what you're talking about as well. The Aegis goes down. Evil Geniuses, they move in, try and take down a couple of towers for themselves. You got Armlet up on Lifestealer. Is there another moment now to try and go for a smoke gank, or do you just try and push out all of the lanes? It's starting to become more difficult with Naga Siren Radiance online, right?
Yeah, you don't have too many more smokes to work with. I think they only have one right now, and Crit's holding on to that one. Nice catch on Kaka, though.
Yeah, much needed. This is before any type of Blink Dagger for himself. Still very far away from that. And I guess that is something else to keep in mind as they find that kill onto Kaka, is that the other heroes, the supports on Newbie are maybe a little bit below where you might expect. I guess they're still ahead of where EG is, though.
Yeah, I think Newbie, what they're doing right now is they know this timing is very well controlled by Evil Geniuses, so they're not going to be doing the same kind of four-man push-outs into towers like they were doing before. Now it's going to be a lot more of spreading their heroes quite a bit, like Slardar aggressively farming bottom. Even if he just forces the rotation, he gets caught, that's okay.
Oh no, Arteezy, they're on top of him. There's the Blink 4. They got control. Lifestealer going to drop again. And these types of rotations you're talking about, if you're not showing everybody, you can go for a smoke gank and get a kill.
Yeah, Newbie were able to play a lot more brazen in the first 10 minutes.
Oh, wow, they're on top of him again. Oh, I don't know if they're actually going to be able to kill off Kaka, though. Yeah, he did have his Blink Dagger. It was over there in the stash. All right.
I mean, with the Lifestealer down, they feel comfortable, still forcing some sort of engagement, but I'm glad they backed away from that. I think they just, it's the first 15 minutes when the Lifestealer and Puck really weren't ready, where this Newbie team could play very brazen in your face with some of their pushes and just kind of dare EG to rotate to them because they're buying space for Naga Siren. Now it's going to be EG. They kind of have the ball because this is their big timing. So Newbie are going to play a lot more hit and run, a lot more split push, a lot more smokes are going to be used for this period of time. And thankfully, they didn't have to use a whole lot of early smokes. So they've got plenty to work with.
Good control of their economy of the smokes, definitely. And this was also something that the panel was sort of mentioning. You have the first pick Lifestealer overall. Newbie had all of these picks to deal with it, and it feels like they've countered it out quite heavily. And it's natural then that you would have Lifestealer with a little bit more of a difficult game going forward. It does feel like it's a lot on Sumail at this point with the level of farm that he's gotten. How do you see his game playing out for the rest of it here?
Well, he is level 16 right now. He's got Hand of Midas and Aghanim Scepter, so we are getting close to Invoker really coming online as a team fighting power rather than just a farmer who occasionally sunstrikes for you. Arteezy may get caught again. If he sticks around for this next wave, he's going to get swapped back into an Ursa.
Yeah, they've got so many ways to break this.
Oh, got him.
Trouble. There's the swap. There's the crush. Right click's coming through. Dead again. And, well, Puck drops the Dream Coil. Now they're going to turn on to Universe. They want to take him down as well. They also spot out the Warlock in the background. Oh, God, they're all going to die. Doesn't manage to get the Chaotic Offering off. They are going to come in with Sumail, though. A huge Meatball Deafening Blast combination. And suddenly, the Magic Man himself might be able to possibly turn this back around. Universe is going to live. Fate's starting to fall low as well. SC's dealing a lot of damage in this, though. Sumail needs to get out right now, and it doesn't look like they're quite going to be able to bring down that Naga Siren. But a great display, and Sumail at least saving the day a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Sumail has got to do so much in this game. He attempts the Sunstrike on Faith, who he brought so low earlier, but he ends up missing it just barely. But Sumail, that was a good first step there, because that was a disastrous team fight, right? Arteezy is immediately picked off, and then the Song of Siren catches 3 heroes, where the Warlock is immediately disabled and has no impact. So it was basically 3 versus 5, and Sumail still managed to even it out a bit.
Wow. Yeah, and you can see right there, it's pretty, just that slight cast point. And again, the damage coming out from Sumail, quite impressive. I thought that they were going to be able to bring down Faith, but able to escape again. Had a couple of those for himself. Yeah, so far, 9-11 is the score. Are you feeling like that was enough to kind of pull EG back into this, or no? They're still hurting.
It's still a pretty big deficit, honestly. The Naga Siren has the Radiance, but she hasn't even reached like full farming power. It's kind of similar to the Alchemist, right? When you first pick up the Radiance, that's not the scary part. The scary part is when he gets Octarine and he's throwing Manta Illusions everywhere, and all the lanes are being pushed out constantly. It's very similar for a Naga Siren too. The scary part is when he has Manta and the Boots of Travel moving around and everything is being pushed in constantly, because EG is a team that doesn't deal with split push very well. This is why they last picked Naga.
Well, this is a really good pick-off again. They're able to constantly catch Kaka. Now, something else to note, they did take down the Dominator creep right before Roshan respawned, so EG know that Rosh is up, and Newbie do not. This is a huge turning point if they can somehow manage to take it down. It looks like they're going to be able to.
Yeah, remember I was talking about second Roshan, how they need to play 5 heroes around that Roshan towards the top half of the map, because you have to take that Aegis away from the Ursa. Otherwise, you're getting this kind of like 5-minute window where you're scared to fight into Newbie. But they could still get caught here by the Song of Siren. It's coming.
Bat Rider's coming in as well. Arteezy pops the rage. They pull him back in. They're controlling him up and possibly going to bring him back down as well. Puck jumps forward. They're on top of this Naga Siren. The Warlock ulti comes down as well. This is looking okay for EG here. Almost able to bring down SC, and they are going to be able to find that kill. So no reset with the song. Roshan has fall. The Aegis is on Sumail. He gets another kill onto KP. EG pulling it back, and now onto Kaka as well. We'll see if Sumail's going to be able to guess correctly. And, well, Kaka actually blinks back. All right, they spotted him out now, and Crit should be able to find this cleanup, I imagine.
Pull out the jukes, Kaka. 3 seconds.
Time to run
Come on, 3 seconds.
All right, I got him. Cold Snap is there. So, again, a great display coming out from EG. And it feels like Sumail is definitely picking up the slack where, the rest of the team countered out. It's hard to deal with.
That is the second team fight he's kind of won for them. That first one was so bad that it shouldn't even been close for EG, but he still pulled out a couple of kills. This time around, it was just like the worst possible situation where you haven't quite finished up Roshan as a Naga Siren shows up, but he had a beautiful EMP, burns out the Naga Siren, prevents her from being able to use Song of Siren to kind of reset that whole entire engagement, because they had just been able to kill the Lifestealer and then Song. That fight's over. It wouldn't even be close. But EG reacted really quickly, not just Sumail, but also with Crit and as well as Zai jumping forward on both the Earth Spirit and Warlock and getting off those disables really helped control the Naga Siren long enough for them to make a trade.
Ooh, SC caught out here. Universe, he can go back in a second, but they're going to drop the song. Do they decide to go in again? Universe is just going to...
No, Universe just needs to get out. This is a good time for them to... They need to group up. Make sure they don't lose anybody here. This is where this Newbie smoke comes in, right? They want to make sure that EG can't take advantage of the Song of Siren cooldown.
Oh, great display there. Zai gets picked off very quickly. It looks like Universe is still going to be able to make his escape. Kaka not able to chase him down. But yeah, that smoke play really nicely used.
Yeah, I mean, that was perfect, right? Because they would have had a 2-minute window almost to work with the Song of Siren down. That would have been a great opportunity for EG to get aggressive. But because Newbie, they kind of already were in a situation where there's smoke, but they just push forward really fast and find that pickoff, they can now, kind of control the lanes. They give time to the Naga Siren to push out a bit, and they won't have to deal with an immediate threat on a tier 2 without having that big team fight spell of Song.
You have the BKB here for Ursa. Like there's things that are feeling like Newbie are still, building this momentum with their draft, but it definitely has felt like EG have been able to turn it back around. And with this Aegis, is there any real impetus for them to try and, make more objectives happen for themselves, or you just try and hold pat for the moment?
I do think they need to make some plays happen and start taking some tier 2s. A pick off on Kaka would be big.
Now they're going to be able to get him. Tornado lift up onto 2 as well. Now on the other side, U9 forced into the BKB already. They haven't brought down KP, but now you've got 5 heroes chasing after the Ursa. That is going to be Faith sacrificing himself for the cause, but they still might be able to run down U9 here. Sumail chasing. That Bear Man is pretty quick.
That was really bad decision, I think, by Newbie to get aggressive at that point in time. I think it was unnecessary, especially with the song on cooldown still. They could have just played it pretty defensively and split pushy. EG, the movement was perfect by them, but it was also really nice that Sumail just throws out the Tornado right as Batrider blinks in, and he throws out the Deafening Blast right as Ursa jumps onto him, so it pushes the Ursa backwards as well. That was pretty fortuitous timing for Sumail, that's for sure.
Definitely. And you think back again to one of the big games between these two teams before. It was at that MDL match where we had SCCC Invoker just go off and blow the world away, and now Sumail able to try and turn it back against Newbie themselves and having a standout performance here. But the big problem that we still have is this Naga Siren, who's been able to get so much farm. When is the point where you sort of start to see that take over the game here?
It's getting close to it. You've got the Manta now. We're going to be working towards the Octarine. Octarine is usually when the full split push farming Naga Siren is complete and all your lanes are hemmed in constantly. This is why, Arteezy's probably going to die here to a good smoke gank by Newbie.
Yeah, there's the jump back, the right clicks. They're all over him. And this is, again, something that I feel like is just, you kind of have to accept it with the way that the picks have gone for Newbie.
The big problem for EG is that they don't have heroes to deal with this split push very well. It's why Lifestealer has gone for a Maelstrom. He needs something like that to be able to push out waves really quickly, because most of the other heroes are not going to be adept at like Puck can push out waves, yes, but he can't deal with the Naga Siren illusions, especially as they get tankier and tankier. He's opting for faster burst damage, though, with the Dagon. I think that's absolutely the right choice. They need to be able to pop a hero before the Song of Siren comes into play, especially if it's Naga herself. So if he can actually jump in, set up the same kind of play we saw earlier with the Dream Coil leading into Sunstrike, and then the Dagon to finish him off, that would be huge, and it kind of makes it so you had the numbers advantage even if the Song comes into play.
Yeah, quite good. I think also you look at a couple of these other item choices, not things that you would always end up seeing, like Blink Dagger first for Earth Spirit. We saw Solar Crest picked up for Warlock. Items that are just fit the niches and fill in the cracks of what this draft is lacking. You can now take Roshan much more quickly, and I think that that's going to be that next big engagement. And we didn't see Newbie go in with the song to disrupt the Roshan like we saw in the first instance of it. That might still be something that they can pull out when we have the next Roshan up.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be Roshan 3 is coming up, and that's Aegis as well as Cheese. Cheese is pretty formidable pickup just because the lineup of Newbie is kind of dependent on being able to burst down a hero thanks to Ursa, and both Cheese and Aegis act as a deterrent to that.
Oh, so many Blink Daggers available. They're on top of Kaka immediately. Earth Spirit still waiting to go in. Can go for the counterplay in a second here because SC is setting up for another kill. They're deciding TP away, but they've been able to catch them. All right, that was not quite there. Faith is going to end up dying. They're going to get the Courier as well. So it's a lot committed for the kill on the Venge.
Yeah, unfortunately, you just can't throw out that Chaotic Offering far enough to be able to catch the Naga, too. But nice catch there by Samael, maybe getting KP, but nah, he doesn't have it anymore.
Nice Yule Scepter there to disjoint what could have come out to break his Blink Dagger.
I have to say, though, Evil Geniuses, they are very good at making sure they don't crumble under pressure. You know, I see a very clear win condition for Newbie when they had such a strong laning phase, but EG still found a way to claw it back and continue to get pickoffs like this one on Kaka that have actually won them a net worth lead now.
Yeah, they've been able to really pull it back into their favor. And you still have the problem of the Naga Siren, but I'm seeing that path to victory right now for EG if they manage to keep these lanes pushed out, secure themselves, Roshan. You talked about the Dagon. It's going to be there. It does also look like Invoker is going to be going back for the Octarine Core. There were a couple of Midases. I think that Kaka had one in the works for the Slardar, and they're trying to build into a few more of those maybe for Newbie to sustain a little bit more of their late game.
Yeah, unfortunately, after his last couple of deaths, that Hannah Midas won't be coming in anytime soon for Kaka. But he does know that he's going to have to transition into more of a core, you know, pick up a BKB or something like that, so he can just stick on a hero, because this game is definitely going late. Evil Geniuses, it's not that they can't beat Newbie's lineup in late game. It's more the fact that they just have to deal with his constant split push that gives Newbie the inherent advantage. So what's going to end up happening here is all the lanes are going to be pushed in. There's more opportunities for Newbie to get farm on their other heroes, as well as plenty of opportunities for quick picks that can turn into an objective. When you're constantly hemmed in all your lanes, even if you do find a pick off on the side of Evil Geniuses, it's hard for them to translate that into an objective because they are so deep on their own side of the map. So that is going to be the inherent problem for late game. As I believe Hani once told me, he's just like, team that has Naga Siren always has a late game advantage, and it's a very unique late game advantage between the split push and the Song of Siren. It's this maneuvering advantage that always gives you a big lead, even if the enemy team can contest you when it comes to team fights.
And these type of smoke ganks become less effective too because you have less vision around the map. You're not like other team knows that you're pressuring, all of the lanes are pressured in, and these will be less effective as time goes on. You know, interesting little thing comparing the Ursa to the Lifestealer this game, as we have the smoke movement still going out. The Ursa is 9-4 and 4, I think, at this point.
Yeah, 9-4 and 1.
And you've got that comparison to the 0-6 Lifestealer, and yet they're only 2,000 roughly net worth apart. Like, Lifestealer's been able to keep up and farm pretty effectively this game.
Yeah, I think they got a lot out of the couple of team fights that they did. So Lifestealer was rewarded a pretty big windfall when he was able to get a couple of kills in team fights, and some of that comeback gold comes into play. But also it's the fact that Ursa is a hero that's very dependent on getting kills to be able to continue to snowball into late game. And this game has slowed down quite a bit. Evil Geniuses were not able to take full control like they wanted to at 20 minutes, and they did have to play a little bit more of a slower pick-off oriented game. And Newbie have kind of stumbled with a lot of their aggressive smokes. They had the opportunity to use a lot of the smokes they didn't have to in the early game, but the one where they 4-man smoked up the top lane and led it to a bad team fight is very much played against them.
Yeah, and well, this is now Roshan soon to be taken. The Sunstrike comes in, it spots out that U9's in the area, and it's still very hard to contest this with SC right there having the sleep. And it looks like he is going to go for it right now, is actually not able to quite catch him. They're catching out the Lifestealer and the Earth Spirit right now. They will be able to secure themselves the Aegis now, trying to turn the universe. They drop the Chaotic Offering. Doesn't really hit onto that many heroes, and now they're on top of Sumail, slowed down so low, but can they even kill him off? There's a huge Deafening Blast combination that comes out. Invoker is not going to be able to do it. They've just got too much damage coming out on Newbie. 4 dead, soon to be 5. EG all over him. Oh my goodness, what a great display, and it does look like U9 also is going to get ran down here. Cold Snap back up in 1 second. There it is onto U9, Tornado lift up. EG, they made it work.
Yeah, they did. That's a total wipe against Newbie on Newbie's side of the map, so they can very quickly turn this into Tier 2 and a high ground push, try and force some buybacks out of Newbie. That was huge. What Newbie did is they overcommitted to taking Roshan. They got caught in a bad spot, right? And they used Song of Siren as well as BKB, and Ursa was still low on that first life. They used all of that just to be able to get Roshan, but those abilities, the BKB duration as well as the Song of Siren, they didn't last long enough for them to get a full retreat. Evil Geniuses knew with Aegis, it doesn't matter if they use some of those things like the BKB and Song of Sirens so preemptively in the team fight. They're out of ammo at a certain point.
That was so well done, and it gives them a whole lane of racks. You've got access to shrines now. EG just blew this game wide open. And in a second, when this goal graph ends up fully catching up, we are going to see just how ridiculous that ended up going. But, man, look at this combination. It looked for a moment here like U9 was going to be able to get the Aegis. Maybe they just blink out and get away. But, yeah, the combination that came out from Invoker here in just a second was quite strong. Oh, man, it's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's Samael, like, knowing, hey, I can just be super aggressive, and also Universe. Like, those are the two players that define this team fight. Universe being able to catch two of the supports on the north side of that pit with the coil prevented any follow-up initiation after the song faded down. So allowed EG to aggressively position themselves to chase down those cores like Samael did, right? He had little fear. He just jumped straight forward into an Ursa. Didn't care if he was melee form because he knew this is a team fight that's ours. They don't have some of the abilities that they need to be able to win. You know, having an Aegis and resetting a team fight for an Ursa isn't the be-all, end-all if you're just going to be able to run over the Naga and that first life of the Ursa so quickly.
Well, and now, you know, we talk a lot about the ability of Naga Siren to delay the game and hold out for a long period of time, but when you lose everybody like that, Song is used aggressively by and large. That means that now you get those first lane of barracks against this Naga Siren. How much does that hurt the way that Newbie want to play this game going forward? Is losing a lane of barracks like that bad?
Oh, it's terrible because you're so dependent. These Naga Siren late game lineups are so dependent on being able to have creep equilibrium because the Naga Siren split pushing all the time. All the lanes are being pushed in by these Radiant Illusions that you have full control of the map. But you are inherently at a disadvantage when you've lost a melee racks like this so early. Now mid lane is naturally always going to push in, and Naga Siren can deal with it. That's the one good thing about it is that it does allow Newbie. They do have a great hero for being able to deal with those super creeps that are going to be coming in, but it does put them at a disadvantage. It hurts the inherent advantage that Naga Siren is supposed to have late game.
All right. Well, and now they have a lot of tools to deal with these illusions as well. We'll see if maybe we can have some. I mean, it's a long time ago that we had those quick pickoffs that happened over and over again on the Lifestealer where they were jumping in, Bat Rider, and then Ursa on top of them. Do you think that they can try and replicate that type of success that they were having earlier, or is EG always going to be sticking together at this point?
No, I think EG is always going to be sticking together. This is part of the way they're able to play pretty calm and come back from bad laning phases is that they have confidence that they can out team fight people. Like they just think, you know, we can click our abilities better than others, right? So as long as they group up and don't get you know, picked off too much. And that is kind of what maybe should have happened in some ways. Other teams, I think, naturally would have tried to be a bit greedy and spread themselves out in order to try and catch back up from a bad laning phase. But EG rather just grouped up and kind of balled into Newbie members. And Newbie actually obliged a couple times, you know, with some of the aggressive smokes in, instead of just taking map control and just playing an economy game against EG.
Well, and you can see here they're setting up a trap as well along the bottom lane. If anybody from Newbie showed up there, they're going to explode. And in the meantime, take down the shrines, move around the map. It's nice that you do have the Bat Rider who has the gems, so they've been able to, at least for Newbie, shut down a little bit more of the vision. But you can see that Radiant do have an Observer Ward inside of the Newbie base. So if the next couple of minutes, if there is some more pressure there onto high ground, there might be an opportunity for a quick catch, either from Universe jumping in and then Sunstrike combinations or something else like that.
Yeah, I like what Evil Geniuses are doing a really great job of making sure their lanes don't get too pushed in. It's so much easier if you can get all the lanes over the river and you start closing in the map a lot more. It's a lot easier to control this Naga Siren and the illusion spam that's coming out. So they're doing a good job. They always keep 2 lanes over the river if possible. They've taken an objective in bottom lane without losing anything in return. So these are good signs in dealing with a Naga Siren late game. But there is going to be the occasional aggressive poke out from Newbie. They got to be a little bit wary of that as it comes.
And actually, interestingly enough, it looks like Naga Siren has a sheep stick queued up. What are your thoughts behind that? Not something that we always end up seeing on the Naga.
Yeah, that is kind of interesting. Some sort of quick reaction disable against Puck or Earth Spirit or maybe even Invoker when he jumps in. Problem is he doesn't have something to be able to deal with the Lincolns immediately. You know, like he doesn't have another instant cast to be able to pop the Lincolns and then get the disable on Invoker. they do need better lockdown against the Invoker because he has actually played a lot of havoc against them with just operating on a Blink Dagger, Blink Dagger and Linken's. You know, he blinks in and they try and throw one of those disables down on him, but he's just able to kind of like casually walk it off, throw down the ice wall, and it's so disruptive to Newbie. Who are like, especially Ursa is very much harmed by that ice wall. He wants to be able to just stick onto heroes, but Invoker at this point is excellent at kiting heroes around. He's even got the minus 18-second tornado now, which is going to be another problem for Newbie to deal with in team fights.
And it feels like if Newbie don't get that initial jump and find and explode either the Invoker or, you know, probably the Puck is the other one that they need to heavily focus, it's just going to end up going terribly for them because you have to burst there. Otherwise, there's all these kiting mechanisms that they have. Inherently, then you kind of need the vision advantage as well, and I think that's why we're seeing the Batrider go back for the gem, just scout out across the map, try and get any D wards that they can. They have been able to get that one ward out of their base that was up there, as you can see right there as well. Is EG really under any stress where if they lose a big team fight, all this advantage they've been able to build up gets thrown away?
Yeah, some of the advantage is just the map control that it's been very hard fought, but they finally do have decent map control. Like right now, they're in a position to go high ground with neither bottom or mid lane being a threat right now. Like maybe mid lane will do some damage to the tier 2, and bottom lane will eventually get to the tier 3, but for right now, it's free damage on a tier 3 tower with no response.
All right, well, they're looking for Sumail. You do have that Aether Lens on Batrider, so he can catch him from a little bit further away. Jump forward, pull back in Sumail. If they could blow him up here, this would be huge. They end up getting the crush, but it's broken, and it is still going to be able to bring down Sumail right at the start of this fight. He does have buyback, but in the meantime, they're going to chase down more. Sleep to catch, on to 3. 4 are actually caught in this one, but can they blow them up? Universe is going to be the first target, it looks like, is going to be able to get that phase shift for the moment. Over here to the side, Arteezy trying to show up. Sumail is here. They ended up going for the buyback. He jumps forward, controlling up the Ursa. Is Ice Wall down as well, so should be able to just continue to run him down. And it looks like they're just going to keep their eyes on the prize, take down these objectives.
Yeah, there's just not much they can do with the lasso down. They made that first play against Sumail, and that was excellent, but on the second life, they just don't have enough control to really be able to catch him when he aggressively pushes forward. But that's good enough. Like, a buyback came out from Sumail, and they still defended their tier 3 tower. That was an excellent hold by Newbie. I'm not sure if, like, Sumail thought that was going to be this fantastic endgame scenario for them with the buyback and immediate commence with the fight, but Newbie played that pretty defensively. You know, they kept themselves really well spread. They didn't really have the ammo to get another quick kill after the Song of Siren. You saw them kind of setting up on a puck, but ultimately it's a puck. It's going to be hard to obtain that. But you know, they just kind of played it defensively and said, EG, if they want to run into us deeper, let them. We're not going to try and fight this one out too much.
And now you do sort of have that answer for the puck after the Song of the Siren with a sheep stick completed on Naga Siren.
Yeah.
So that's another one of those items that will start to change the dynamic of this game a little bit, where the songs used aggressively will be more effective than they would have been otherwise. And yeah, you know, also the Invoker not having buyback, I'm feeling like there's Newbie starting to build back that momentum again. Do EG need to be concerned about this, or can they just go and try and secure themselves Roshan and go rinse and repeat?
They definitely need to be concerned. It's why they really want to be able to pick up this Aegis. They're going to clear through the Helmet Dominator creep right now. Roshan is going to be up in 30 seconds, though it does have a max respawn time of about a minute 30, so it's not like EG can just hang around inside the pit. Newbie will eventually cut across from bottom lane into mid. They've got mid and bottom lane pushed out. The Siren Illusions are going to deal with top. They're getting the map control necessary to set up a good Roshan fight.
You can see here as well the levels continuing to go up. We're caught up just about the Naga Siren to where the Invoker was and going to start soon surpassing him. The other thing that's nice about this for Newbie, I would say, is that they're not sacrificing the farm of all the other heroes. Sometimes you see that with the Naga Siren, where all the rest of the heroes don't have anything, basically, but you've got some decent farm on the Batrider here. Ursa's been able to maintain a pretty substantial lead over the Lifestealer, roughly the 1 to 2k mark throughout the whole course of it. But now Roche coming out, and we'll have to see how Newbie respond to this. No Shrine to TP2, but they still can't get here quickly. I'm
really surprised that Newbie are not contesting Roshan. They know this is about the time it should be up. I really thought they were going to cut across from bottom through mid and start taking some of that area, but it looks like they're still going to get there in time with this smoke play.
Oh yeah, KP going in, able to jump on top of him. Did he hit Roche with that? Well, Song of the Siren is down. They get the counterplay. Arteezy still gets the Aegis, though, and U9, they're turning to fight onto this crit with a really good silence, but is it going to be enough? They have the net down as well, onto one, and it looks like with everybody starting to fall, they've already lost the Ursa. They lost that Slardar as well. KP's starting to fall low. Sumail's so freaking low. He got down to 18 HP and does finally go down, so 2 minutes with no Sumail. It's still looking quite bad, though, for Newbie. It looks like they're also going to be able to take down SC there on the Naga Siren. 5 dead for Newbie. They did lose Sumail, but this is still a huge win.
That was a very awkward initiation. KP, he didn't use Lasso on the jump. I'm not entirely sure what he ended up trying to eat through. I think he tried to jump forward, force staff the Lincolns off, and then go and Lasso. But I think Lifestealer just kind of raged up. There was no force staff. I think he actually maybe hit Roshan or something, but it was just an awkward initiation that turns into another Song of Siren that doesn't look good at all. They got free damage on the Ursa with that Song of Siren. You know, they hit him a couple times and then they all fall asleep and invulnerable.
Well, it does force out the SC buyback, and that's a full lane now done as they take down the range barracks, but don't want to pressure for anything more. They're probably a smart one, and yeah, it does look like he popped it on Roche there.
Something popped there, and then they try and go into the Song, and they're still raged up on Arteezy, and he's able to get that Aegis. You get a couple of swipes on U9 before he goes back to sleep, and they just don't have enough firepower at that point in time to finish off Sumail, which is pretty sad. You know, it's some of the lost BKB timer with the Song. It just feels like Newbie are not playing very well around the use of this ultimate. And the fact that Sumail barely goes down, I think if Sumail actually stays alive there, he's able to heal up. That actually could just be the end game scenario, where EG, they quickly heal up, they go 5-man into Newbie, who only had, like, what, 3 buybacks available out of 5, and just take a good 3 versus 5 into Newbie's base.
Well, and maybe that's that one buyback earlier. You have that at that point, too, and you could potentially end the game as well.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's still a very, I would say, dominant performance from EG in that fight. It's still hovering around that 15 to 20,000 net worth lead. As you look at it, it's getting closer and closer. Experience, much different story. Do you think that there is going to be a point where Newbie can just sort of like dominate this game at all with their heroes, or is their time on their timing really passed a little bit?
No, there's always going to be a very big difficulty to team fighting. Like, you can't end the game without winning a team fight, right? And Evil Geniuses have very strong initiators. They are scaling pretty well on this Lifestealer who's got a completed Mjolnir. AC still doesn't have the Abyssal Blade. I think that's his next item when he drops the Aegis, but they're always going to have this big sustain and initiation advantage over Newbies. So it's going to be more about maneuvering for Newbie to win.
Okay, well, you can see up there in the high ground, they jump forward, able to control up one, but now Crit in a little bit of trouble. Arteezy trying to turn onto U9. Not sure if that's going to quite work out for them, though. And well, it looks like Newbie are actually going to back, expecting the rest of EG was going to be right behind them. And they have started to show up. The thing to keep in mind is that bottom lane is still being pressured in by the Naga Siren Illusions, and the tower took a good bit of damage, still doesn't go down. But EG losing Crit there for the price of the Venge, still worth.
Yeah, I think you still want to go high ground here if you're Evil Geniuses. Maybe push through mid and go top. That might be a bit too hasty, though. I was just thinking they still have this Aegis, but the Venge is down for 30 seconds. Looks like they are just going to back up and kind of reset.
The Heart quite good on the Illusions as well, making them harder to take down. I like the little Mjolnir laid down on top of the creeps too, so he's kind of had like the counterplay coming out with the creeps going out the other direction. So interesting little back and forth there. Counter to the split push.
Remember we were talking about Kaka and picking up his Hanamitis. He knows this is going to go late game. He needs to get some actual items that allow him to be a right clicker. Well, that BKB is still so far away. He's only got 1,100 gold in the bank. U9, his farm is stalled up quite a bit. He's still sitting around that 18K, where Arteezy's Lifestealer is now up to 21K. And all this extra farm on Naga Siren is not going to translate into huge wins in team fight.
Universe trying to catch Kaka there. Sunstrike not quite able to be on the mark. You know what the real value is, though, a little bit later on. Moonshard pool in.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe? No? Okay.
Not really, just because they don't have... Like, if Kaka and Faith were more farmed as supports and they were turning into a little bit more right-clickers, you could argue there's some value there, but the only value is really just going to be on the Ursa, and we're already seeing Ursa beginning to struggle. with these team fights. EG's taking it slow. They're controlling the map. You know, I was talking about, look, they have this opportunity. Maybe they go through mid and push high ground. But EG are still keeping this, like, they're just more focused on controlling the map and making sure Naga Siren does not get these split push opportunities out there. You look at mid and top lane, they're really not pushed in at all, so EG are in a great position to start sieging once again.
They got one creep in, and now they pull in Arteezy pretty deep into that one, but the meatball combination comes out. Is it going to be enough to bring him down? KP Evil Scepters himself for the moment to try and stay alive, but it looks like they're still over on the other side on top of Zai. The Chaotic Offering has already come down, though, and it looks like the Bat Rider buyback is going to try and go for initiation on it. Arteezy eats the cheese. Now U9 turned upon. He's taking too much damage, though. They're all over him and is going to fall. The last little right click coming through. EG came to play. Both of their supports are gone now, as we do have SC on the back line. Arteezy is there. Does he get the bash? Not quite going to be there, but turns now into Kaka. Blink away, still fine for the moment. Everybody alive for Newbie. I think that EG need to be careful about this pressure. And they're gonna back out.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. They forced another buyback. They it would just be like too much of a risk, I think, at this point in time to continue to go high ground. They're in a great position. Evil Geniuses, this is a 50-minute game against Naga Siren, but we're getting into that super late game territory where the Naga Siren split push just isn't quite as viable as it used to be, and Evil Geniuses are getting so much farm on all of their members. Like, even this puck is translating into some decent damage, as he's going to have a Scythe of Vice after that Dagon 5. So, like, everybody from EG is hitting pretty hard, while if you look at the Newbie side of things, because of what Naga Siren does, right, she soaks up all the farm on the map. Venge and Slardar, they look really, really poor in comparison.
Yeah. No, it's tough, definitely, and not really feeling like there's a great answer for it going forward either as far as getting those heroes more farm. The Midas is nice on the Slardar, but because it came so late, it's not translating to that same level of items that you would have seen otherwise. I do think that also the Aghanim Scepter here on the Earth Spirit, a really cool pickup, particularly when you have so much of the single target focus. We were talking during the draft that maybe the Dazzle would have been something that they wanted to go for. Banned out made it really tough for EG, but now you sort of have that secondary form of it in the Grave. But well, this is going to end up being a dead Slardar here. Gets picked off. The rotation comes in, though, from the rest of Newbie. Kaka still manages to get off a crush onto Crit to keep him back in. There's Puck already dead. Now U9 trying to take down Crit. Isn't quite there in position to bring him down, but looks like Kaka going to miss onto that right click, and well, they break the Lincolns for Sumail. The sleep is going to catch onto several.
Oh, I don't know about this one. This is risky.
Could be quite tough. You have the refresher there for Invoker as well if you want to come in. Yeah, they're just going to TP away. Good decision, but the lift up will catch the Venge, and Faith most likely to die here.
Yeah, that's going to be a drop gem. That's really unfortunate.
Oh, wait, they're with the Courier?
He's trying to give it to the Courier.
Oh, my God! Oh, my God! Saving
that shot's still going to finish him off, but if somebody can run into that jungle area and might be able to pick it up.
Oh, they did it.
Go Bat Rider, get it.
They didn't know that it got swept. Oh, that was beautiful.
All right. So they took the gem away from Evil Geniuses. That's pretty big. If I'm not sure if EG, yeah, it doesn't work like that. Just like Smokes, I can't tell if a fresh gem is up, but it does allow Newbie maybe an opportunity to hold some better vision and get some split pushing out. And they'll just have better ideas of what EG's up to, and EG won't be able to, because they want to make, ideally EG, they slowly push in all these Naga Siren attempts at split pushing. They get all the creeps pushed into around like 3/4 of the way through to the base, and they get aggressive vision up, right? And then the only thing that Newbie could do at that point in time is operate off of smokes if they want to push outside the base and catch EG. But with this gem, it just means that there's not going to be an opportunity for that kind of aggressive vision, and you can make aggressive plays without the smokes.
Yeah. Well, U9 is going to be sunstruck there. Might signal that there's a ward in the area, and actually Sumail not quite going to be able to catch U9. That would have been a big kill if they could have found it, but
no. His buyback still 3.5 minutes, so Evil Geniuses, they definitely want to go high ground, I think, in the next 2 minutes or so. Try and take another lane of racks. They don't need to end the game by any means. Just another lane of racks, another progression in their win condition would be nice.
Venge actually dropped the gem on the ground there too, actually. That was nice. He didn't end up dropping it when he died. He put the gem on the ground so the Courier could pick it up. Well, 53 minutes in, and EG ready to barrel down a lane again. How does this dream fight look for Newbie?
They need a strong initiation, and it can't be on the Lifestealer. They need to somehow get KP to catch the Invoker maybe in the back lines, because he's got a refresher. He's such a big threat in team fights, but he's going to grab crit instead. He does have that saving mechanism, so they're going to try and take it out of the fight.
Nicely done. There's the Dream Coil down. The first meatball has already dropped. Sumail does still have the refresher if he wants to go for it. Ice Wall dropped as well. They've already taken down the Ursa. They've taken down the Bat Rider. EG, it was looking so bad for so long, but now looking a hell of a lot better. And Sumail, well, they're going to be able to continue to get this chase down, killing off all the illusions and hitting barracks as well. EG is all over him.
Yeah, this is just over. I think without the Ursa, there's no way Naga Siren by herself can output the damage to force EG back.
Now they're all over him. Kaka's going to drop. EG, again, it was looking so rough for them through those early stages, but throughout all of this, they were able to persevere and now take what looks to be tier 4s and, unless barring a miracle, some type of a win. Sunstrike takes him down and GG gets called. Great display from EG.
Yeah, great. I think Newbie were operating on a 5,000 gold advantage, it looks like, by like 16 minutes. They had a very early Radiance, but EG, they just did not blink. You know, they reacted really well to that kind of pressure. They said, we're always going to be able to out-team fight them. We just have to make sure that we don't lose too much map control. And certain things like item choices and movement won EG this game for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think if I'm reading this right as well, that Arteezy ended with a score of 4, 6, and 17. So he didn't die again after that point where we said that he was 0 and 6 going into it. So really,
0, 6, and 6. Yeah,
it's pretty cool stuff that you end up seeing that type of a turnaround from a team. And we talked a lot during the draft as well about how it was, you know, a heavily countered first pick Lifestealer. Do you think that there's any, just real quickly before I throw it back to the panel, anything that you need to change for EG or for Newbie going into the next game?
No, I think that that Evil Geniuses had the right idea in Game 1 when they're banning away the Lifestealer. When enemy's team had first pick, it was like, that hero is just too strong. Even if it's countered, it's still, like, it's always going to be viable, right? Even if you think you've got the counter to it, it's still going to be largely impactful, giving you more space for your mid laners. So I think they've maybe found some ideas about drafting that are going to be able to give them a strong day too.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much again for tuning in. EG versus Newbie. Game 2 is right around the corner. But first, we're going to throw it back to the panel. Paul, what do you guys think of the game?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. We will be returning back to Lyrical and Capitalist, of course, for Game 2. But first, we're going to break down an opening match, which sees EG pick up at a point. But they need all three, as we said at the start of the program. Let's catch up with PPD and with Purge. Peter, we'll start with you. Very impressive from Evil Geniuses eventually in this game.
No, it looked a little scary there at the beginning. Huh? Yeah, I thought maybe Newbie had something, had him figured out or something. But, I mean, it was the Sumail show. Like we talked about, maybe it would happen. We talked about the first pick Lifestealer, kind of, them setting up a lot of counters. We saw Arteezy didn't have the best game. He's a superstar player, didn't have a superstar game, but Sumail picked up the slack. And sometimes you look at games like this and you go, oh, it's just an Invoker at the top of the net worth. Like, he's not going to be able to deal with all these other heroes. And then you see this hero get to, like, level 16, 17, 18, and then you see what he can do in these team fights, and it's just like, ugh, like, what a terrifying hero.
Yeah, he just killed, like, 2 important cores in that fight with just a Meteor, Deafening Blast, Sunstrike.
This fight was pretty cool. Crit actually got a silence on the Ursa here, and Ursa just dropped inside of the silence.
Oh, that must have been the engagement. Oh, this fight was actually super crucial. The pull to the side with Arteezy, it looked so good for Newbie, but the important thing was that they were able to kill the Naga Siren. Like the casters pointed out, the mana drain was huge.
I wasn't particularly impressed by the Naga Siren in this game.
Yeah, me too. It felt so ineffective. He got his Radiance at the perfect timing. It's just every fight he didn't do anything.
Yeah, I feel like his illusions were clumped up a lot, and they were just kind of dying to the AoE of like Puck and Invoker.
Yeah, I would actually completely agree. And Earth Spirit as well. Maybe it's because they just had too much AoE between Earth Spirit Ultimate and Puck. And
maybe, but I think it was noticeable that the Naga Siren, I feel like he should have had more of an impact. And Ursa is a hero that I think we've seen a couple times this tournament have a very, very good early game and then just kind of fall off towards like the later stages of the game. And that's just about them not having really any way to. I don't think once again, they have no person to hit buildings. And EG's team fight, they group up, and if Newbie tries to force the issue and go high ground or something, like EG's team fight will prevail. So another big team fight lineup. kind of winning out here in the end.
In this fight, KP was unable to get a lasso sitting on the left side. I think that could have made a big difference if he was able to lasso Arteezy and keep him to the left side of the fight. Instead, Arteezy gets into the important part of the team fight, is able to help kill the Ursa, and once that happens, then Sumail can basically do whatever he wants. So definitely this fight should have gone well for a Newbie. It's like 2 or 3 Roche fights that just didn't go their way, and if they would have, they definitely could have won this game, I feel, because at least that would help make up for the fact that they couldn't hit buildings as well.
Universe had a super rough early game on the puck, as expected. I think Batrider kind of destroyed him in lane, but like we were saying, that seems like a pretty tough lane for puck.
Yeah. He
kind of can't use orb unless he can only use orb if he thinks he's going to kill the Batrider, or he's using orb to get away when he has too many stickies.
His first rotation was so important though. Like when he TP'd to the safe lane, he got a double kill. Or I don't know if he got the kill, but helped his safe lane that was doing terrible get a double kill. It really changed the tempo of the game. But if it wasn't for Sumail winning the first couple team fights, this game looked completely one-sided.
Yeah, and a lesser Invoker player would not, with a lesser Invoker player, I don't think EG would have won this game.
Yeah, I just thought, what would it be like to have Sumail on your team, and all of a sudden he just wins you a fight that you really shouldn't. And you're like, oh, cool, guess we're going to win this game after all.
That's the beauty, Peter, of having a player like that in your team, isn't it?
Absolutely.
In terms of Arteezy, you said he didn't have the best game of his career, and obviously we look to him for some highlights as well. But he played his role in this game.
Yeah,
they're playing around Sumail.
Yeah,
that's what I've noticed this tournament. Whether it's Sumail and Alchemist or Sumail and Invoker, they're focusing on playing around him. Arteezy's kind of taking more of a backseat role in the games, and it seems like the Invoker works a lot better for them than the Alchemist does.
Yeah,
and it's not like Arteezy wanted to have that shit hand, but they got aggro tried, so he just didn't get farmed. Yeah. They tried to get 1 kill, but it didn't work out in their favor and put him in that bad position. So with the hand he was dealt, I think Arteezy played really well.
Yeah, let's take a look at the stats, and you can see that Universe, despite not having the best of lanes, had a good game overall, statistically speaking anyway.
Look at his damage output. He did almost as much damage as Sumail did. He got the fast Dagon up there, went for the 420 GPM at the end. But 12, 2, and 17 KTA, that guy's clearly a puck player. He made one small mistake with a phase shift mistiming, but other than that, he played pretty much flawlessly.
Do you think Peter Crit's taken something from OG, from his time at OG, where they did play around Miracle and kind of using the same philosophy?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a ton of similarities between players like Sumail and Miracle.
Yeah,
they play very, very similarly. So. He's very comfortable on this team.
I feel like they didn't even play around Sumail that much this game, though. They didn't really gank for him. The only way that they really facilitated him was at some point they were looking for Sunstrike kills mid-game.
Well, everything was going so poorly for them throughout the entire game. So even if Sumail is kind of doing his AFK farm thing on Invoker and just kind of doing the jungle and Midasing, and they're trying to run around, he's helping out with Sunstrikes. The thing is, their 4 heroes couldn't really touch Newbee's 4 heroes. Mm-hmm. So the 4-on-4 they were just losing.
There is only one match MVP.
Absolutely.
We can't pick anyone else, really.
And at some point, EG decided that they were just going to go as 5, basically when Sumail was ready.
Yep. And
Newbie didn't really have a good answer for it. I thought with the Naga Siren they would do a better job of splitting the map and finding the Invoker in the back line so they could go on him with Lasso. We talked about them not really having a save for Invoker. Ursa BKBs, and they Lasso the Invoker, and they should be able to kill him. Yeah. And all of a sudden, that top net worth hero isn't in the game, and
that's all it was. Actually, if anything, you can maybe criticize the skill or the item build that U9 went. I feel like if he fits a Deso into that, he would have done so much better against Invoker, because Invoker was supremely far ahead in terms of farm. He had Ags, Octarine, working towards the Lincolns. He had tons of raw HP, but his armor wasn't very high. I feel like if he has a Deso there, he actually would have been able to burst down Sumail with just an overpower ulti combo.
Yeah.
But in those fights when he did actually get on top of Sumail, there was the one where he even bashed him. He got him low, but he didn't kill him, and he needed to kill him. And because he didn't, more spells. So it's it was this weird mixture of Sumail getting really far ahead just because he's such a good player, and them not having the tools or the execution maybe to actually get that important kill at the start of the fight. Just never happened for them, and they never got to use Naga Siren to abuse his ulti to get us to get a Roche. It got them close 3 times, but it never worked. Which just means, what is the Naga Siren doing for you? Didn't do damage in team fights. It didn't give you Roche control. They never really used it to set up team fight combos. It just felt like a bad pick, despite having the perfect Radiance timing.
Bad pick or poorly played?
I think it was poorly played. I think the pick was kind of okay. I would have liked them to see a little more building damage. I thought the Venge kind of helped in that regard, as Venges usually do with the aura for the physical damage for everyone. But I don't think he played it the way they needed to play it, and which is interesting because Newbie would always used to have KPAI play the Naga regardless of whether he was mid or safe lane or off lane. And I don't know if maybe just not the SC hero. We talked about maybe SC playing some sort of flashy hero, kind of similar to how Sumail did. I don't think we'd ever see Sumail play Naga.
No,
he got a Hex as well on the Naga Siren.
Yeah,
seemed a little.
I don't know. The game was slipping out of control at that point. I'm not sure what item would have really salvaged it.
Yeah, I guess not. Maybe Butterfly or something. Force him to go MKBs. Might have been good, but
yeah,
I don't know.
No, Sumail and SEC are both like very similar players, and they're both very new age in terms of the grand scheme of Dota.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like a year and a half ago coming over to China for whatever tournament it was at the time, and SC wasn't on a pro team, but he was in every single pub. Every single one. He was in every game. Right. And he was just, going mid and grinding, and he eventually climbed the ladder and he got to 9K MMR or whatever it is, got picked up by a pro team, and these kind of new players, you need to adapt the game to play around them. And I don't think putting him on Naga is a good choice for them.
All right. Good. We're going to be moving on to the second draft for our second game of the day very shortly, but let's take some social media questions. You have been putting them up, of course, in the Reddit thread. Thank you very much for all of the questions that you've had on there, as well as the ones that you've posted on Twitter. PPD, besides yourself, the top 3 captains of all time. That's very nice.
Yeah, that's very nice. Thank you for besidesing me.
It means you're 4th.
Well, no, it says don't include yourself because you're probably in the top 3. So that's
okay,
very nice of them to say. Thank you for the compliment,
yeah.
KVO the Bloodless 247.
It's both. It's from a book.
Reading in 2017. Okay.
What do you mean? Reading's good.
Yeah.
Reading's good.
I'm just joking. Of course reading's good.
So top 3 captains
Top
of
3
all time.
captains. Zhao 8.
Yeah.
Of course. I think. I'm pretty Puppy biased, but I don't know. I was a huge fan of Puppy. Before I started playing Dota, I was a huge fan of Navi, and so I'm kind of a Puppy fanboy in that regard. So I'll throw him in there.
Okay.
And then I think you got to put Fly at least. In recent, last 2 years, Fly was kind of quiet when he switched over with Fnatic initially from Heroes of New Earth, but he's definitely proved. I think maybe it's like a Fly no-tail kind of combo.
Yeah.
Those two guys really have I feel like they're a unit, and I know they're part of the ownership of OG as well, and they're kind of doing that whole project together. So seems like they got a good thing going.
Very interesting.
They've won a few Valve tournaments. I think they deserve it.
They've won a couple here and there.
But the thing is,
things.
It's great. Winning majors is amazing, but the thing is, everybody wants to do well at TI.
Yeah.
And Fly, I don't think Fly's gotten. I don't think he's gotten better than top 8 at TI.
I don't think so.
I think you're about right.
So maybe this year will be different. I hope it is.
Yeah, maybe.
Because they're such an amazing team.
When you look at what they did last season, when they went to Frankfurt almost as a brand new roster, went through the low.